The shuttle may be in orbit, but in Houston, drag racing fans, both large and small, have only one mission: to cheer on their favorite team. Larry Dixon is on fire, quickly establishing legendary numbers. He's won 15 of 16 rounds this season and captured 3 race wins. He looks to continue his dominance in Top Fuel today.
The numbers have been tripping over themselves. What Larry Dixon and the Miller Lite team has accomplished so far in 2002. The question today is, can anybody stop this team? Kenny Bernstein, Corey Mack, Doug Coletta, Tony Schumacher will be racing on a tough racetrack. Larry Dixon may have his work cut out for him. However, does his team look worried? You tell me. Dave Reed?
Well, Bill, Doug Coletta has just plain been tripping. A very poor outing in Las Vegas and a round 1 defeat. But Jim Oberhofer told me that they did learn something very valuable in that first frame in Las Vegas 1 week ago. It's how to go from tuning with an iron fist to tuning a race car by making very small baby steps. Doug Coletta, the #1 qualifier, would like to get into the points fray here today with a win. The image that's tough to come up with, Connie Coletta tiptoeing through the tulips.
ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports and the exclusive home of the National Hot Rod Association, presents the $50 million NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. Today, from Houston Raceway Park in Baytown, Texas, it's the 15th running of the O'Reilly Spring Nationals. And for 3 consecutive days, we have had carbon copy weather, high humidity, temperature in the mid-80s, and you can tell by looking at the sky, not a lot of cloud cover. But these guys are getting a better handle on this racetrack every time they get a shot at it. You can see the huge crowd. Take a look at the ladder now in Top Fuel. The arrow indicates who has lane choice here in round #1. And we've got some big matchups. Take a look at the right side. There's Kenny Bernstein. He'll go up against Bruce Litton on down through to Doug Herbert and Mark Kinsella. Let's go to the highlights of round #1. First up, Darrell Russell in the left lane. John Smith in the right lane. Remember, it's always drivers left, drivers right. John Smith, first upset of the day, 489-272 as Darrell Russell has a problem and runs a 526. Next up, another upset. Watch Mark Kinsella, drivers left. He runs a 477 to Doug Herbert's 489. Herbert's on the trailer, heading home in round #1. Then, Melanie Troxel, Tony Schumacher, you're on board the Army of One. Schumacher runs a 475 at 308 by a half a car length over Melanie's 480. Then, low ET of the round, top speed of the round. Kenny Bernstein, 466, 319. The red car is in the second round. Bruce Litton runs a 477. Biggest upset in the day. Larry Dixon had run 30 straight rounds without losing in the first round. 30 straight races. The streak is snapped by Mitch King. He only manages a 631 at 172. And you can see what happens, Mike Dunn.
That has to be a mechanical problem. Dick LaHaye does not smoke the tires at the hit. Larry Dixon never had a chance. Had he been able to get a recovery, he might have been able to win that race, but
Larry Dixon, after 30 consecutive first-round wins, that's his biggest surprise that we've seen in a long time.
Well, that's why we don't race on paper. You know, I mean, it's we don't. I mean, you guys keep saying how great we are and all that kind of stuff, but you know, I mean, everybody's human. You got to go out there and you got to earn your spot every time we go out there. You know, they did a better job than we did. I just went out there and I mean, I hit the throttle and I mean, the car didn't even move. I don't know. Obviously, there's some kind of clutch malfunction or something like that because I know LaHaye, he's always cautious first round, but you know, we'll. You know, fortunately, we got, I don't know, what, 18 more? So we'll just get after it and see what happens in Bristol.
Well, you are right, Larry. We do say you're great, but deservedly so. We'll see you down the road.
That'll be 2 weeks in Bristol. Now back to first round. Corey McLenathan in the right lane. Andrew Cowan in the left. Corey Mack runs 469 and 312 and wins by 2 car lengths. And what about #1 qualifier Doug Coletta? Well, he was in the right lane. Seal goes up in smoke. Coletta runs a 473 at 311 and marches on to second round competition. So here are the matchups in round #2. It'll be Coletta against Grubnick. He's got the lane choice. Schumacher has the lane choice over Mitch King. On the right side, it's Kenny Bernstein over John Smith and Corey Mack with the lane choice over Mark Kinsella. Let's get more from Bill Stevens.
If you were watching our Top Fuel qualifying coverage on ESPN2 yesterday, you know that after Kenny Bernstein ran that great 4:68 in the final qualifying session, his crew chief Tim Richards said, that may have been one of the most important runs we've made all year, and I can't get it out of you what you meant by that.
Well, it's tune-up related. We've done several things to try to shake up our program here. We've changed cars coming into this race. We've tried things that we haven't tried all year long. We've made approximately 50 runs this year, and I didn't feel like we were any closer to an answer than that, so we just started going out there and trying different things. And maybe we're onto something, maybe we're not. We've made 2 straight runs now, and that's something for us. If it makes 4 or 5 in a row, then I'll be impressed.
They had low AT and top speed of the first round, 466 at 319, and with Larry Dixon losing in the first round, they know they can take a big chunk out of that points lead with a good day today.
The Law Kings confectionery team pulling back into the pitch, going hard at work. A crew who's probably never been in this position, but Mitch, a driver who's been this way before. It's like an old fuel-altered race out there.
That's what it felt like out there. It really felt good. I knew if we got into a pedaling match, I'd have a little bit even playing field with them.
And you acted a couple times even past the blower belt coming off because you weren't taking anything for granted there.
I've never seen him or heard him, so I wasn't about to lift.
How big a win is this for you? Obviously, it's big for the rest of Top Fuel.
Major morale booster for the team. We had a pretty rough weekend a couple weekends ago, and this is our first NHRA national event with the dragster. Got a lot of experienced crew here. These guys are doing a great job.
Texas owned. Moving on to round number 2, Parker.
Today we'll be watching the race through the eyes of the fans. They're fired up, and so are the cars.
And some of the pre-race festivities that the fans got to share in. The huge American flag coming in via a parachutist. And now, as far as last night, well, some of the NHRA faithful, 5 drivers and our own Mike Dunn decided to race on dirt. They decided they wanted to try and turn a little left.
Hey, we're going to go have some fun. I'm going to go out there and see. I figure I'll be pretty fast down the straightaways, but, you know, you got to turn left, they told me, at the end of the straight, so I may have a little bit of problem there. Other than that, should be okay.
Tommy Johnson Jr. down on the outside. Mike Dunn holding on to second place up on the high side. 3. Whoa, big sideways for Tommy. Oh! Mike Dunn leads it into the first corner. And it looks like Doug Glennis got a good enough run coming off the second corner. 94 USAC Sprint National Champion.
Wasn't fair. Coletta's a ringer. He won the USAC Championship in 94. But look at Mike Dunn. Yay, team. We finished 3rd. We're on the podium. Stay with us. So far this season, there has yet to be a dominant funny car. But Team Force has captured 3 of the first 4 races, with the most recent being Gary Dencham's oh-so-close win over Tommy Johnson in Las Vegas. And first round of funny car here today. Gary Dencham first out of the box. Scotty Cannon in the right lane. Smoke him if you got him. Dencham had it a lot more than Scotty Cannon. 5:22, 2:54. Cannon advances. Next up, Tony Pedregon. Todd Payton. Watch Payton in the right lane. Wild ride. Tony runs a 4:98 at 2:94. That would be one of 2 cars to make it into the 4-second bracket. Take another look at what happens to Todd Payton, Mike.
Todd Payton goes into serious tire shake, backpedals, gets back on it. When he does it, lifts the front end, does a great job to keep it off the center line, but at that point, it was all over.
Next up, Whit Bazemore, number 1 qualifier, dodges a bullet when Frank Pedregon rolls the lights. And look what happens to Whit. He coasts on out to a 10-second run. And let's go back and take another look at what happened to Frankie, because he just rolled right on through.
Watch the lights up here. He's going to just roll right through the light. I have to think that Frank had a problem with the brake. He likes going deep, but I know he tried to stop that car.
Next up, John Force and Dale Creasy. Watch Creasy. He runs a 5:01 at 300. Gave Force all he could handle, but Force, the other car, to run a 4:90. He runs a 4:94 at 3:09. Del Worsham next up. He won this race last year. Gilbertson has problems. Shuts it off. 5:06, 3:01 for Del Worsham. And he advances to second round. Tommy Johnson over in the right lane. Dean Scruzza in the left. TJ runs a 4:96. He's the 3rd car. Let me correct myself. He gets into the 4-second bracket at 3:05, 5:16. And then it's Johnny Gray in the right lane. Ron Capps in the left. He runs a 5 flat to Capps' 5:01. And Gray beats him to the stripe. And last up, the 3rd Pedregon brother, Cruz. First time since 2000, all three had been in the same race, but he goes up in smoke. Selzy goes to a 5:32. So let's check the ladder and check how things will shape up here in the second round. A funny car. It'll be Selzy with the lane choice over Bazemore. Force over Worsham in a great rematch. Fourth time this year. Tony Pedregon with the choice over Johnny Gray, and it'll be TJ over Scotty Cannon. Now, as far as those three runs in the Force, two of them belong to Team Force.
Well, John Force was like the old John Force. He's been running very well, especially early in the run. In the heat of the day, consistently getting down that racetrack. The only place he may be having a problem is going over that transition on with the bumps, getting a little bit of tire haze down track, but still running some great times.
Well, let's check in with the man who gets John Force down that racetrack, Austin Coyle. He's with Bill Stevens.
Well, John Force had low ET in the first round with a 494. And Austin Coyle, the crew chief, it's going to be a little hotter for the second round. What kind of considerations is that going to place on your tune-up?
Well, you know, as it gets hotter, it gets a little slipperier. But from the looks of our data, we were plenty safe that run. So I think we can run about that pace, even though it's going to warm up a bit. It seems like we found a combination that works pretty good in the heat. I just hope it keeps on working.
This is the fourth time this year you'll be racing Del Worsham. This is a pretty big round, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is. Dell's right on our heels in the points, and, you know, we're real concerned. But, you know, we go out there, we do what we do. Destiny takes over.
Last time they met in Las Vegas last week, Del Worsham came out on top.
Frankie Pedregon knows he let one slip away in his round one matchup with the number one qualifier, Whit Bazemore. Bazemore, of course, smokes the tires, but it's well after Pedregon slips through the lights, turning on the red one, something he hasn't done in 2 years. And all I have to do is look at this guy's face to know the learning curve is still coming along a little slowly.
Yeah, and my past cars, I used to do a nice, long, smoky burnout. These carbon fiber brakes, you need to warm them up a little bit. And with this car here, the procedure is a lot shorter. So just getting used to me heating them up while I'm backing up, and I didn't do that enough. And the minute I put it on high side, let the clutch out, rolled straight through, and I knew it was over then. And let my guys down, but, you know, we keep our chins up around here. It's my fault, and I'll take the blame for that one. I still have a job, luckily, and go on to the next race.
Jim Dunn says when you have hot, sticky carbon fiber brakes, it takes about 600 to 700 pounds of pressure to hold this car back on the line. Without it, of course, well, you see the result.
The grandstands are sold out. The fans are shoulder to shoulder waiting for this racing action. Do you have a ticket for the grandstands?
Yeah, we sure do.
Then why are you at the fence?
Go through the action.
If they could get on the starting line, they would. But they can't, so they get as close as they can. Stay with us. We come back. Top Fuel's coming your way here in Houston. Take a look now at the ladder in Top Fuel as we get ready for second round action. Arrow indicates who has lane choice, and that Schumacher-King matchup is going to be the one we see first right out of the gate. Then you'll see a little bit later Bernstein, John Smith, Corey Beck, and Mark Kinsella. And you're riding on board with the Army of One, Tony Schumacher. He'll be over in the right lane. Mitch King over in the left lane. Dave Reeve.
And yesterday, Bill Stevens introduced us to Mitch King in the world. And wonderful guy from down in Galveston, Texas. We talked about him being an old alter driver, fuel alter driver. Well, he's actually a current fuel alter driver, too. The Lone Star Raceway champion last year in 2000. Actually dates back here at NHRA drag racing into the early 90s, running a funny car as a crew chief with Butch Blair on the Fagawi car. How about that stuff, huh? Actually says he'd like to stay out about 12 races this year and maybe pick up a little money and join us full time.
Well, joining us in the broadcast booth is Larry Dixon for the first time in 30 consecutive races. He is not racing in second round. Larry, I know you don't really want to be up here, and you're looking at the guy who got by you in first round. What do you expect in this one?
Well, I think Tony Schumacher, he's got a good car, and we'll just see. But who knows? Luck could be on Mitch King's side.
Not this time. Schumacher's dropping a cylinder. He takes the win in a 5:03, 298. Not real pretty. Not the kind of numbers he would want, Mike Dunn. Let's go on board and see what happened.
Yeah, we're going to see here. Tony had a cylinder out real early in the run. I'm sure they softened it up. But, you seen him backpedal there actually a little bit. Must have went in some tire shake, then put the cylinder out. We'll see from a different angle here, down track. He backpedaled. He must have felt the tire shake. As soon as he got back on the throttle, cylinder went out, but still got the win at a 5:03. Good driving job.
And I have to ask you, are you saying, oh my, that could have been me and getting advantage of that 503?
No, that Mitch King, those guys deserved it. They did a better job than we did first round. I mean, it was just something that caught me by surprise, but I think it caught the whole world by surprise. So.
Now, have you guys been able to dissect what actually happened inside the car?
Actually, the whole team, Dick LaHaye and everybody, they're still going over everything, just trying to find out, because it was definitely a clutch malfunction. They haven't quite pinpointed what it is yet, but hopefully we got 2 weeks before Bristol. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Well, and I'm sure the rest of the Top Fuel field is thanking you very much, because you've led them back into the race a little bit. Now let's go back and take a look at the run, and you get a look at it for the first time.
The car, I mean, as soon as I stepped on the throttle, I mean, it jumped right off the ground, and I knew I was in trouble at that point. And normally, you can actually slap the throttle and get the clutch loose from the engine. But that time there, it flat wouldn't do it. I mean, it was like it was locked up 1-to-1, and I didn't have a chance. And the further we got down the track, the further he was going away from me, and saw his win light, knew my day was done.
Let's go back out on the track. You're looking at Corey McClenathan, because he's looking to go for his 4th race in the semis in 5 this year. He'll be up against Mark Kinsella. Let's go the far end quickly to Bill.
Tony Schumacher, won't be any easy ones today, will there?
No, I'm sure that was awful tricky. I made a big mistake there. I pre-staged. He was already pre-staged. I rolled right in and staged. I didn't have the pumps on yet. I made a mistake there. I got real lucky. I pulled the fuel pumps on, waited a while to take my foot off the clutch, to load the clutch, rolled in. But I tell you, I hit the throttle, it left nice, shook real hard, pulled my foot right out of the throttle. I may have busted a couple toes on that, but that's okay. That's why they give us 10 of them.
Wow, a lot happened in only 5 seconds.
Either of you guys ever done that?
Break any toes?
No, got out of your sequence on the fuel.
I've made every mistake there is to make in a race car. Larry, I think he's perfect.
Oh, never, never.
Can Mark Kinsella go with the upset string again? I think not. 476, 306, and Corey Mack is going to the semis one more time. 4th out of 5 races. The only time he has not was back at Phoenix, where he lost in round number 1. So Corey Mack moves on. We've still got 2 more pair coming up here in Top Fuel. Stay with us. We're coming back to the O'Reilly Spring National. Tuesday, Jay Moore hosts the Action Sports Music Awards, fueled by Mountain Dew. The best of action sports honored in one special night. Live music performance by Red Hot Chili Peppers, Jay-Z, plus more. Coverage begins with the Green Carpet Special at 8:30 Eastern. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Well, now, back on the starting line, Kenny Bernstein coming out, and he's over in the left lane. Now, he has had his 2 most successful runs over in the right lane, guys. He's put John Smith over there. What do you think?
Well, I'm really surprised he took the left lane. Like you said, he made both his runs in the right lane. They felt like they had a good handle on it. But the Pro Stock guys, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Larry, have said that the right lane is a little bit bumpier down track.
Yeah, they both have bumps in it, but it seems like the left lane, the bump's not as dramatic as far as upsetting the race car. I think that I was actually surprised he took it first round, the right lane.
So there is Tim Richard backing up the Budweiser King. You had a look at the wheelie bar on the back of the new McKinney chassis. They made the switch. They originally started with the Hadman. There it is. We're trying to figure out if maybe they put that on there so that they were getting a little extra balance with the car, getting some extra bite. What do you think?
Well, we know the funny car guys will actually use that wheelie bar to help the car get up on the tire when it leaves. Dragster guys, correct me if I'm wrong, Larry, usually use it just to keep the car from going over backwards. So I don't know whether Kenny's decided or Tim Richards has decided to use it to help on that chassis, or if he's just trying to keep from going backwards.
John Smith left on Kenny, but Bernstein drives around him. A 466 at 322, and that's 3 good runs in a row for this hot rod. A 486 for John Smith. Let's go to Bill.
Corey McClenathan, this is beginning to look like the end of the 2000 season, that old MBNA car with you and Wes.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, these guys are doing a great job in the car. Guys from those A-Fuel, they may be A-Fuel guys that are working on this thing, but you couldn't tell the difference. They're professionals. They're doing a great job. But my hat's off to all these guys that are going down the track. It's tough out there to go quick, but I'll tell you, Waterloo and Centennial Batteries, all these good people, Don Steve Chevrolet, we're there for you, babes.
More bang for the buck with these guys.
Let's go back and take another look at this run. And Kenny Bernstein runs a 4.66. That's low of elimination so far. But look, John Smith led at every increment, guys. He had the better reaction time, 60 foot, and at half track, but couldn't do it.
I'll tell you what, that 417 light by John Smith was strong. I thought he had this one won. But Kenny came across and drove around him at the finish line. Kenny's car is going to be real hard to stop today.
Yeah, we watch on replay here. That thing is real smooth through that problem area, about 1 second in the run. We're going to see here where it makes the transition from the asphalt to the concrete. No movement whatsoever. The car's really, really smooth. If he can do that all day, he's really got a good shot at winning today.
While we've got a chance, let's go to Dave Reef, get an update on Gary Selzy.
With John Cox, a drag racing veteran since '55. He's been with Alan Johnson since '96, and you've got your finger on the pulse of this team. You've been here. You know how they react and act. And basically what I want to know is how's this race car and how's this team? You guys have put in a lot of hard man hours.
Well, the race car's fine and the team's fine. I mean, when you got a crew chief like Alan Johnson and a driver like Gary Selzy, two of the most talented guys around, and the crew's all experienced. You know, we've been here before with the dragster and stuff, so we're fine.
We can see the fixing you're doing on the underside of this car, but let's go back to Friday night. That was an awful big fire that this white cap Toyota went through. What kind of damage did it do?
Well, it burned up a little bit of stuff, but not really bad. Gary got it stopped in a real hurry and got the body up, so probably saved it right there. But it split the body down the middle, so that's one thing we're not experienced in is fixing funny car bodies, but we're learning.
And believe it or not, Bill, Gary actually said that was actually a little easier to take than those violent crashes he's had in the dragster.
Well, the other red car we're watching today is one that suddenly has been able to get down this hot racetrack on those new tires, Kenny. Tim found something.
Well, I want that particular run there, and along with a lot of others, to Tim and the crew, because, boy, John took a shot at the light up there and put a 417 on us, which is unbelievable. And I went, man, you are late as can be. I thought, what happened? But the power of the Bud King and that Lucas Oil in there, Mac Tools came on through there.
He's going to the semifinals.
Back out on the starting line, Doug Kalita, the #1 qualifier, will be in the left lane. He'll be up against David Grubnick, who qualified #8. You see who Doug punched out there in round #1. And there is David Grubnick. In his opening round win over Scott Wise, they had a little mechanical at the top end, but obviously they got it fixed. They're back for second round action.
Yeah, David ran that 484 in the first round. Doug was on a really good run, then spun the tires down track and still managed to run a 473. They're going to try to get that problem fixed. We talked about it down track, which seems like a lot of these cars are doing. They actually have a problem welding the clutch, and what that means is the engine RPMs run about 7,500 when you start applying the clutch. The drive shafts run at 6,000. The clutch gets so hot that it actually grabs the motor. On a good track, it'll pull the engine RPM right down to the drive shaft and shock that tire. If the track's not good enough, it can't hold that, and it starts spinning at half track, and you just continue spinning, or just before half track, and you'll continue spinning down track.
That's where them bumps come real sensitive.
Uh-oh, driver's race. And Grubnick has just upset your #1 qualifier, and the reason those guys are cheering, it's the first time they have ever taken down Doug Kalita. Now let's go in slow-mo and take another look.
Well, we're going to see here. Grubnick did a good job. Both cars got in trouble early. David Grubnick was able to get the car to recover a little bit better. A lot of that depends on how the car's set up. You know, Doug Kalita's car maybe had a little bit more power. It's harder. He drove. You can see David Grubnick drive into the tire shake from the smoke, and then gets out of the throttle. He stayed out of it for a good amount of time, still spun the tires when he got in again, got out of it one more time, tried to get that car to settle down. Now it's just hazing the tires, and lucky for him, the cylinders went out because that took away some horsepower. That enabled the tires to not smoke too hard, just haze them a little bit, got him to the finish line for the win.
Let's go to Dave Reed.
And quickly with John Mitchell, how big a win was that for you guys?
That was really a big one for us. It wasn't pretty, but we'll sure take it.
John wants to go get his race car. He's saying, hey, we're going to the semifinals, and you're going to get a chance in 2 weeks to start another streak as far as advancing past first round. Thanks for stopping by.
I hope so. Thank you very much, guys.
And And let's take a look at the semifinal matchups, and you'll see that you've got lane choice to Tony Schumacher with the 5:03, and Kenny Bernstein with low elapsed time of elimination so far at 4:66. Now, Kenny Bernstein continues that Forever Red Tour in his home state this weekend. He received a letter of recognition from the governor of Texas. Rick Perry congratulated the 6-time NHRA champ, and there's an old high school classmate to look through their old yearbook together. That was neat.
Couldn't believe that, huh?
Don't forget, 11 o'clock Eastern time tonight on ESPN. All the latest news in the world of sports on SportsCenter. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Turn our attention now to the floppers as we're getting ready to shake the earth a little bit more. First pair up is going to be Whit Bazemore, the number 1 qualifier, against Gary Scelzi. Scelzi will be in the right lane. Whit will be over in the left lane. And I'm surprised because lane choice went to Scelzi, and Bazemore has not gotten down that right lane at all this weekend.
Yeah, crew chief Alan Johnson must see something he likes in that right lane. Decided to take it. We'll see what happens here.
Alan, you want to rethink that decision? 5:08 wasn't real pretty. 2:92 saw a little tire haze, but Allen's car ran a 5:49 with Scelzi at the wheel. So Bazemore advances for the first time this year to the semifinals. Let's go to Bill Stevens.
David Grubnick going to his first semifinal of the year, a guy we always enjoy talking to because you love winning, and lately it's been few and far between.
Lately?
I was trying to be kind.
Yeah, try 10 years. No, it's great. You know, it wasn't pretty. It smoked the tires. You know, some of these people are getting down it. We obviously smoked. Well, Dougie smoked as well, and, you know, that's a very stout team. So, you know, we got the win light. That's the main thing. We'll keep going. Johnny or Mitchell will turn it up, and we'll get down it next time. Hope. Otherwise, it's going to be the same thing.
When you beat the number 1 qualifier, you know you've done a good day's work.
Well, and you can tell that the track temperature is going up even more than first round. And the clouds, I mean, there are absolutely none in the sky right now to help anybody. So it's really going to be a tuner's race until late maybe in the day. And you can see there is the sunshine beating down on this quarter mile at Houston Raceway Park. Tony Pedregon now in the left lane. Johnny Gray over in the right side. These two matched up back at Gainesville, and it was Tony winning in the semifinals. In fact, he went on to win the event. In fact, Johnny Gray's only beaten Tony one time that they have ever matched. And as they're backing up, let's show you the funny car ladder. And you can see that Bazemore has already advanced. He'll meet the winner between John Force and Del Worsham. And on the right side, here's the matchup we're talking about. Tony and John, and then it'll be Scotty Cannon and, of course, Tommy Johnson. Look at this crowd. There isn't a seat available, and they're about 3 deep in the grandstands. I've already heard from Parker. He's out roaming about in the stands, meeting some of the folks. Probably having a heck of a good time out there, too.
Yeah, you know, this is a good matchup here. Tony Pedregon ran a 4.98 in the first round. Johnny Gray ran a 5 flat, had that great 4.66 light. Tony Pedregon's one of the best leaders in the business. He knows that Johnny had that 4.66 light in the first round. He's going to be on his game because he knows he's going to need it to try to get this win.
And we got a couple of big races here, guys. Remember last week in Las Vegas, Del Worsham Dartner took out the entire Force team. Well, with Gary Densham already gone, Johnny Gray has the opportunity to take out Tony Pedregon. Del Worsham comes up next with John Force.
Tony says not this time. 5:04 to a 5:18. Tony runs 299 miles an hour, and Tony Pedregon advances to the semifinals.
Okay, we're going to watch Tony leave the starting line. He's going to try to stay right in the groove. He wants to keep that thing right there in the middle. Does a good job keeping her lit, but he spun the tires. That cost him some elapsed time. When the tires spin, the cylinder goes out. Slow motion, we're going to look at it. What we talked about before, the clutch is trying to weld, and they hit those bumps about the same time they're trying to lock all that clutch up. Even though they're slipping them more than usual, they're still trying to go one-to-one at a certain point in the track. When they do that, you see the tire spin right there, a little bit of smoke. That kills ET, mixes the cylinders up, but he's still got the win.
Time now for John Force. Still looking for victory number 100, and he's got an old nemesis in the lane next to him in Del Worsham. Now, in all of John's milestone achievements over his career, it's never taken him longer than 3 races to ever reach that next point, where it be 25, 50, 75, and now it's going into race number 4. So this is uncharted territory for Team Force. You can hear the crowd cheering as he does the half-track burnout.
Despite giving up nearly a 1/10 of a second, too, in their round 1 wins on the time slip, Del Worsham still feels very, very confident heading into this race. After all, they found that they had a bad blower on that Max Life car, so they've strapped on a new blower and put on Johnny Gray's time slip, not from the second round, obviously, but from their round 1 matchup. It was a 5-0. They think in the heat of the day, if Del can go out there and cut a reasonable light, they got a real good chance of keeping that 100th from happening again.
Well, he's already beaten Force 2 out of the 3 times they've met this year. They've each won 1 final. Force at Pomona, Del, of course, at Phoenix. And remember, Del won over John here last year in the finals. In fact, let's go back to that moment. Del Worsham was in the right lane, John Force in the left lane, and Del was first off the line and first to the stripe. They both ran 485, but Worsham won by 7 1/1000ths of a second. That was then. This is now. The 492, John Force. They're even up 2 apiece now for 2002. That's low elapsed time of the eliminations. The only car this round to go into the 4s. And let's take another look at it, Mike.
Boy, this is a nice run from down track. John Force seems to be able to have a real good handle through the middle of the course. We see, like, Whit Bazemore and Tony before him spinning the tires really hard through the middle. Oh, we see a little explosion there. John actually did spin the tires towards the end of the run, which caused the cylinders to mix up and backfire. Del, on the other hand, you'll see him probably put a cylinder out here. Watch right there. There it goes. Cylinder out. That pretty much ended his run for the day. He lost a lot of horsepower there, and John Force was just gone.
And the big kaboom at the end means that Team Force is going to have to go to work. Hey, that's a big wheel. And there's some other young fans here at Houston Raceway Park. Stay with us. Round 5 of the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series from Houston Raceway Park with Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Reef, and Parker Johnstone. I'm Marty Reed. We're glad you're with us. And so far, it has definitely been a challenge for these guys to get down the track. RPM tonight will be covering Winston Cup highlights from Martinsville, the kart race at Long Beach, and of course we'll have a NHRA recap from right here in Houston. That is 10 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN2. For more, log on to ESPN.com. One more pair of funny cars here in the second round. It'll be Scotty Cannon in the left lane and Tommy Johnson Jr. over in the right. TJ, if experience counts on his team, he's got Ace McCullough as his tuner, Don Prudhomme as his car owner, and they both won here in Top Fuel years ago.
A lot of experience on that team. They also brought Larry Meyer on board to help out. Been doing a good job since he's come on board. TJ's ran real well. I mean, he ran a 499 in qualifying, then backed that up with that great 496 in the first round. Scotty Cannon, on the other hand, has struggled all week, and he spun the tires pretty much every run. Had a 511 best that got him into the show, then ran that 520 in the first round on a pedal job when he spun in the middle and did a great job. But he's going to have to step up, I think. That Skull car looks pretty good right now.
Tommy Johnson had the lane choice. He decided to go on the right side. Scotty Cannon in the left.
Guys, this is the last hurrah for Don the Snake Prudhomme. His other 2 cars went out in the first round.
Cannon's up in smoke. The chute comes out. Problems for TJ. He gets it across the line in a 528. And as we have said many times this weekend, it wasn't pretty, but it got the job done.
This is one of the strangest things I've seen. That, TJ went and put both lights on stage, and then Scotty Cannon went in and put both lights on right away too. You're going to see TJ get real close to the center line here. He had a cylinder out there on the left side of the car. which allowed him to drift over, actually pushed him over there, got out of the groove, started spinning, and had that backfire just for the lights, but got the win. Let's look at Scotty Cannon here. We're going to see tire shake right there into the tire smoke. He has to backpedal, but couldn't get to recovery. Just kept smoking. By then, TJ was far enough away that he got the win. Let's take a look at the staging duel. This was very unusual. TJ's got both lights on. You don't normally do that. Usually you put your first light on Rick's motion, and then Scotty went in and put both lights on right after that. Very, very unusual. I've never seen that happen.
There's a look at the semifinals. Team Force has lane choice. John over Whit Bazemore, and Tony Pedregon has the lane choice over Tommy Johnson Jr. So that wraps up Funny Car. We've still got a lot more racing coming your way, and before we get to go any further, we've got to take a commercial break as the action continues here at Houston Raceway Park. Despite being the top qualifier in every race this season, poor lights prevented Ron Christian from getting to the winner's circle. That is until last week, when he combined quick reactions and huge horsepower to win his first Wally of 2002. And as we take a look at our Army profile, let's take a look back 1 week ago to Ron Christian's reaction times. The only round he was later than the opponent was first round against J.R. Carr. Everybody else, he was right in the ball game. Can he keep it up today? Well, we're about to find out as we're going to take a look at highlights from round number 1 of Pro Stock action here at the O'Reilly Spring Nationals. First up, Tommy Hammonds and Kurt Johnson. KJ lays down a 6.89 after Hammonds rolls through the lights red, 200 miles an hour. Kurt Johnson moves on. Next up, George Marnell, Darrell Alderman. Alderman gets a 6.87 at 202 miles an hour. That's right, 202, and the Mopar is flying. Marnell runs 6.92. Then it's Bruce Allen and Ron Krischer, and Krischer has a 4.99 light. The problem is Allen runs a 4.22 light, 700s in the bank, and he wins with a 6.88 to the quicker but losing 6.83. And then Warren Johnson nails Jake Coughlin, 6.85, 201 miles an hour. You were riding on board with Jeggy as he finishes second. And the only problem in that is you got to finish first. Jim Yates, number 1 qualifier. Geyer runs a 1.04 light. Yates runs a 6.86 at 2:01, so he advances easily. Take a look at the ladder here in second round, and you will see that Yates has the lane choice over B. Gaines, Bruce Allen over Mike Edwards. On the right side, it is Anderson over KJ and WJ over Darrell Alderman. The last time we saw the bikes, Craig Treble knocked off defending champion Angel Savoy to win the trophy. Angel hates losing and wants to repeat her win from last year here. And there were 2 big rounds in this first round. Tom Maselli goes red, handing Craig Treble, but Treble runs a 7.20 at 184 miles an hour. And then the other big story in round number 1, Angel Savoy. She had won 35 straight. Joe DeSantis, where were you going, Joe? He didn't even stick around long enough to find out. And Angel has a problem. She breaks the bike. The motor goes south on her, and she dodges a bullet. So she's 36 straight first round victories. That dates way, way back. They only run 14 races a year. There's the matchups. Gann with the lane choice over Johnson, Hines over Scally, and then you've got Barry over Savoy, Treble with the lane choice over Antron Brown. And for more on Craig Treble, he is the subject of today's Suzuki Track Fact. Track Fact is brought to you by Suzuki Motorcycles.
Craig Treble's in a place he's never been before, and granted, part of it may be the new GSXR carbon fiber Iron Eagle Matco Tools body he's got, but a lot of it has to do with this new chassis he's got. It's a Sandy Cosman chassis design, and it is absolutely trick from back to front. We start in the back where we look at the rear axle, which used to be held side to side, but now it's held front and back, so all the side load is gone, allows the back wheel to spin a whole lot more freely. Move on up this machine, that's where you find the Cosman motor plate. It not only doubles as a place for the motor to attach, but it also serves as an oil pan while also being a chassis member. The idea is to get all the weight as low as you can, which also explains all of these bolt-on pieces and the front brake caliper being as low as you can go. The lower the center of gravity, the more stable you are. It's the Weeble Wobble effect. But the coolest thing has to be this front rake. Instead of having a center pivot, this thing is adjustable with A-arms, and what they can do then is slide the front wheel back, or in other words, bring the crank forward. By bringing the crank forward, Craig is able to get a whole lot more aggressive in the bottom end when he whacks this throttle. Bottom line, all of these new changes, including a brand new Matco Tools trailer, has this guy atop the Pro Stock motorcycle points.
And as you've already seen, he's already advanced to round number 2. Action going on in Top Fuel pits. We've got a lot more coming your way from the O'Reilly Spring Nationals. Welcome back to Houston. Are you hungry? We've got plenty of food for you here at the O'Reilly Spring Nationals. And you know, one guy who's hungry for victories is George Marnell. He's the Pro Stock points leader, and he began his NHRA career back in 1993 at the ripe early age of 43. Marnell spent the early part of his professional life running the family's masonry business in his hometown of Las Vegas, a business he continues to oversee, and he's the subject of today's Powerade Profile.
Me and my brother always wanted to hot rod our cars, and we were always working on our cars and trying to make them faster. Typical boys, probably, you know. My dad didn't care much for racing, and he started the business back in the 50s. I worked into the business growing up and eventually bought the business from him. I enjoy building buildings, and I enjoy doing the masonry portion of it. I don't think there's probably too many casinos on the Strip that I haven't touched. We did the Luxor, Caesar's Palace, the original Rio. I grew up here in Las Vegas. I'm not a gambler at all. Being in business is a big enough gamble, and I actually own part of a facility in Green Valley. We have a couple hundred slot machines and a bowling center and restaurant. We get to cash in on that. That's the kind of gambling I like to do. Oh, yes! My first formal drag race was probably late 80s. I was real nervous and real excited, and it seemed like it'd take forever to get to the other end. Racing is a business, and anybody that thinks that racing on this level is not a business is kidding themselves. Both businesses take a lot of effort. I was fortunate enough to bring some people into the business when I started, and without them, I wouldn't be drag racing, that's for sure. I like to think that I have 2 jobs. I have 2 full-time jobs. I enjoy both of them.
The win, and again, Marnell does it on a hole shot.
I think I love the competition more than anything else. I'm a very competitive person. I don't like to come in second. Nothing gives me greater pleasure than to go out there and race against the best people in the world and to have some success at it.
Well, take a look at George's quiet career. It's gotten a little louder the last 2 years because that's when he got those 2 victories. And right now, he's making a lot of noise as the Pro Stock points leader. And down on the line now, match up a couple of good friends, both with rear and Morrison power. Mike Edwards in the left lane, Bruce Allen over in the right lane. Stripe, the win light to Mike Edwards, a 688 at 199 miles an hour to the 693 of Bruce Allen's. And let's go to the far end, let's go to the pits. Dave Reef.
And find out exactly what did happen to the Miller Lite dragster. It was mechanical like we suspected, Dick. What are we looking at here?
Well, this is the shaft that engages in the clutch plates that goes back through the reverser unit that drives the car, basically. This little stub that goes on the end of it engages in the pilot bearing at the end of the crankshaft. They're actually in the flywheel. And it broke off on the burnout, which in turn just lets the clutch just flop around in there, and we had lost all control of the clutch.
So from a crew chief standpoint, do you sleep a little better at night knowing it wasn't a bad call or anything like that?
Well, anytime you can find something wrong, you know, it's always good, but I'm not going to sleep any better because we hate losing around.
Not losing around, and I'll tell you what, they got a pretty sizable points lead, so they're not going to hurt them too bad.
Well, as you suspected, Mike Dunn, and we have now confirmed, thanks Dave, it was a mechanical malfunction that put out the Miller Lite Top Fuel team. Now, back to the battle at hand. You're looking at V. Gaines. He'll be over in the right lane. He'll be up against the #1 qualifier, Jim Yates.
You know, Jim Yates has ran real good all week, and that car's been good both in the evening session, and he came and ran low ET in that Saturday morning session in the heat of the day. 686 in the first round, at 201. You got to rate him to have a little bit of an edge here. That car has really been stout.
Well, V. Gaines has only defeated Jim Yates once in their 5 head-to-head matchups, and he's going to need to cut a pretty good light here based on the lapsed times that Jim Yates has been running all weekend long.
We know reaction time is so critical with these pro stockers when you're running only a couple hundredths apart on the run. You got to get a good light and get off that line.
beam. Oh, but he loses control of the car right in front of the beam, and Yates comes back to escape. A 685 at 201. It would have been his 4th reaction time loss if Gaines could have held on to the car, but boy, that thing lurched around at the top end.
Boy, that thing really got loose. Jim Yates was just extremely late. 5:07 light, that's just terrible. V. Gaines right now has got the race in the bag. You see him get over towards the wall, out of the groove, and when he did, he corrected it, sashayed back towards the center line. Let's look at another angle here. We see him down here. He's going to go out to the groove over to this side a little bit. When it does, he's going to bring the car back over to this side. Boy, it's sideways there. All he could do was shut off to save that car.
Yeah, you can see, look at the rear slick. I mean, it was collapsing underneath of him from the side-to-side movement of the steering wheel. Let's take a look from the far end.
Down track, you're going to see him end up way out here, out of the groove. And when he does, he corrects to go the other side. He just sachets out over towards the center. He had no other choice but to lift and give the run to Jim Yates.
So that brings us up to Greg Anderson and Kurt Johnson, a couple of good friends also, like our earlier matchup between Edwards and Bruce Allen. In fact, these guys come out of the Warren Johnson School of Pro Stock Racing. Of course, Greg Anderson used to be a crew chief on WJ's car, and Kurt just happens to be WJ's son.
But they both learned from the professor, so they do have that in common. This should be a good race. Both cars are pretty evenly matched here, and once again, it could be all decided on the starting line.
They may get to match up with the professor. He's in our final pair, and the winner of this one gets the winner of the next one. KJ, big advantage off the line. And a 690 hole shot win. 687, the quicker but losing time for Greg Anderson. Let's go to Bill.
Jim Yates runs a 685 and stays out of harm's way. Did you know what was going on behind you?
I could see him moving around over there. I shouldn't have been watching, but when I put it in high gear, I kind of caught a glimpse of his fender. I didn't know if he was just ahead of me or what, but you know, the Split Fire crew is doing a great job with this Grand Am. They got it running out there. The track's hot, and we're picking the pace up. We're going to try and win us the championship this race.
That was a close one.
And as you take one more look at that race with Jim Yates and the escape that he made there, brings up the professor now. He'll be over in the left lane, and it'll be up against Darrell Alderman. And Darrell has beat Warren in the last 2 races, and both times on hole shots. You better believe WJ knows it.
Oh, I guarantee you he knows it. And every time these two come to the line, it's always a great race, always a great battle on the starting line. And I don't expect this to be any different. Warren Johnson knows he's got to cut a decent light against Darrell Alderman. He had a 470 light in the first round. Darrell had a 448 in the first round. Warren ran that 685 to Darrell's 687. So Warren Johnson knows he has to get off the starting line and get a good light if he wants to beat Darrell Alderman.
Warren, a 4-time winner here at Houston, including last year over Mark Powell. Here we go. Uh-oh. A little bit of a staging to not much. Stripe, the win light. Warren Johnson, 687 at 201. He drives around Darrell Alderman. Darrell had about 100th off of the line. He runs a 689, also at 201.
This is a great race. Like you said, Marty, Darrell Alderman had just a little over 100th off the starting line. He was going to need more than that to beat Warren Johnson. Warren Johnson, you know, makes that big horsepower on the other end. Of course, that Dodge ran 202 miles an hour also, so as it got down towards the end, it was anybody's race, but there it is, Warren Johnson.
Hey, Bill, I think KJ may like that new Bickle chassis.
And how, and I like what he's doing with it, is you beat Greg Anderson on a wicked hole shot. A 690 beat a 687.
Well, you know, he's one of the better drivers out here, and we've been practicing a little bit back at the shop, and a couple glitches there at the middle of the season, or third and fourth race. You know, we started out real strong, 2 third-place finishes, and going rounds is what it's all about here. And you know, the AC Douglas Chevrolet, we feel like we got a Winston or a, excuse me, Powerade. I'm excited. I haven't been this far in about a month, so. No, there's hope for this puppy. We're still learning about a brand new race car here, and I got to thank everybody.
It'll be Father and Sunday in the semifinals.
Yeah, and it will be the best man winning. Here's the lane choice. Jim Yates, 685 to the 688 of Mike Edwards, and Warren will have the lane choice over KJ. Neither one will roll over for the other, and action continues back at Tommy Johnson's pit. That Ron Capps helping out. Back here at the O'Reilly Spring Nationals, getting ready now for pro stock bike action. It'll be Mike Berry in the left lane, Angel Savoy in the right lane. And Angel dodging that bullet in round number 1. She has won 36 consecutive round 1 matchups. This one, a big one here with Mike Berry. Berry has 500s off the line. Can he hold on at the top end? No. 720, 186. So whatever broke in the first round has been fixed by that man right there, George Bryce. That's low ET of eliminations. Let's take a look at the ladder. You can see Sean Gann over with the lane choice, Mr. Johnson. Then there'll be Matt Hines, Gino Scali matching up. And we've already seen Angel take out Mike Berry and Craig Treble with the lane choice over Antron Brown. Let's go to Dave Reed.
Well, if you missed our coverage earlier, you didn't see about the limited late model race that happened over the dirt track here. Tommy Johnson was very much a part of that, and I'll bet that last pass in the funny car was kind of similar to the end results over there, too.
Yeah, we thought I was going to loop that funny car there for a second, too, but it dropped the hole out there and about mid-track, and it pulled the thing to the left really bad. And yeah, tiptoeing the center line, had to lift out of the thing. It was going to pull it clear over the center line, so I lifted, turned it back to the right, hit the throttle, but unfortunately banged the blower. So Skull Blue team and the green team are working together. They fix it. We'll be back for next round, no problem.
Been a lot of time since, or been a long time since we've been this far deep, 2 races in a row.
It's nice. You know, the Skull Blue team has struggled so bad. Had a lot of things go against us, and it's nice for a change. They're going for us instead of against us.
And this is really teamwork. Ron Capps just backed his chute, too.
Back out on the track, the wind light of Gino Scali, the quickest Kawasaki ever, dumps the quickest Suzuki. The 727 hole shot to the quicker, but losing 726.
This is a great race. Gino Scali had 200s in the bank off the starting line, and that's all he needed to get the win. We're going to see here right at the finish line. It's going to be a margin. It's going to be awfully close, but Gino Scali did a great job to get that win.
Let's go to the far end. Bills with Angel.
Angel, Matt Hines just lost to Gino Scali in a hole shot, and you're still alive.
Oh, only by the grace of the good God above, because if it weren't for Joe DeSantis giving me a gift first round, he left before the tree came on and my motor broke. It's the second engine of the weekend that's broken. We've had bad luck in Houston before, but we've prevailed. Star Racing is great. We got some new colors. Hopefully we'll get them to the winner's circle so my sponsors can be really excited this weekend.
The new sponsorship people are here. So is Angel's family, her husband. It's like a family reunion, and they will be announcing that new sponsorship deal when we get to Atlanta.
And Bill, we should point out that's Gino Scali. He took it off the track into the sand as he, I thought for a second, yeah, there he's even putting his feet down trying to get it stopped, Mike.
Yeah, you can see him. He was pushing down on that brake pretty hard trying to get it stopped. Obviously, he had no brakes. When you got to put your foot down to try to stop these things, that's not really a good deal. We've seen him. That's about the second or third bike we've seen go in the sand this weekend. That's pretty unusual.
And he's okay, and he'll be back. Let's go to Parker.
Marty, I have 4 stages of tanning: burning, peeling, freckling, and skin cancer. Well, the professional NHRA fan realizes that to enjoy a day when the temperatures are in the 80s, it takes plenty of sunblock and lots of fluid to stay hydrated.
On the line, Antron Brown goes red. Gives the race to Craig Treble in the left lane. Treble runs 7:23 at 184, and Antron missed it very, very close.
Well, you know, Craig Treble, Antron knew he had to get a good jump on Craig. This was a great matchup. Both bikes ran pretty evenly in the first round. You see Craig lift the wheel up. You see he got to lean over there to keep that thing in the middle of the groove where he wants that thing to be. Now watch the bumps when this thing starts going over that. The bikes can really tell you where the bumps are on the racetrack, more so than the fuel cars, because you'll actually see the bike move up and down versus the fuel cars. You'll just see the tire smoke. There you go, big time bump. Move the rear tire around. That's got to be a wild ride. He's still leaning over towards the right, trying to keep this thing going down the track. Great run.
And for the second straight race, Treble has eliminated Antron in the second round. Back on the starting line, Steve Johnson up against Sean Gann, the #1 qualifier. Gann in the right-hand lane, Johnson over in the left lane.
You know, Sean Gann's been running real good all weekend. Got low ET, run 7:18, 7:19, round 7:22 in the first round. Steve Johnson, you know, seems to be improving after each race. He doesn't seem to quite have the horsepower to be able to take on Sean, but if he can get a good light, gets a little bit of a break, who knows what's going to happen? We'll see.
Well, Gann's been ready to go. He's been pre-staged for a long time, and here comes, finally, Steve Johnson into the beams. And Gann throws it away on a red light. Steve Johnson runs a 7:34. Gann ran a 7:20 and tosses it right into the trash.
Boy, I just can't understand how this happens when you have somebody covered that much and go out and red light. I know these bikes, you can actually red light by waiting for the amber, which you can't do in the fuel cars, but still, when you got a guy covered that much, you shouldn't be taking that big of a chance.
Let's go to Bill.
All right, let's review and discuss, people. Gino Scali takes out Matt Hines on a hole shot. Antron Brown fouls out. Sean Gann fouls out. Let's hear it for Kawasaki.
Go Kawasaki. Thank you, Team Kawasaki. Thank you, Craftsman Tools. I got to say thanks to Trim Techs, all my sponsors that over the years, little by little, they're coming on board with us because they're starting to believe in us.
Did you purposely try to hit the tree against him?
Of course I did. You know, I know Matt was basically running a little bit faster than me, and I know in the first round I caught a 4.16 light. I was trying. Second round, I knew that's all I had to do is cut a light. I took off. I knew I caught a good light. I looked at the tree, saw it green. I'm going, yeah, and I talked in shift, and that was great.
It worked.
It certainly did. We've got to take a commercial break. Here's the matchup. It'll be Scali with the lane choice over Steve Johnson, and Angel has the lane choice over Craig Treble. And it's time for semifinals. Top Fuel coming up next, and we come back to Houston Raceway Park, NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. Don't forget, in 2 weeks, we're going to be at the Mac Tools Thunder Valley Nationals in Bristol, and you can get qualifying 9 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday, the 27th of April. And then we'll start it off on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. with NHRA Today, followed by final eliminations at 5:30 Eastern Time, all on ESPN2 in 2 weeks from Bristol, Tennessee. For more, log on to ESPN.com. And right now, you're on board with Tony Schumacher, as he has moved on to the semifinals up against David Grubnick. And these guys are familiar to the turf of semifinals. In fact, Schu was the runner-up here in 2000 and 1999, and Grubnick was the runner-up in this race in 1998, Bill Stevens.
Yeah, I was just talking to David Grubnick a little while ago. They're coming into this round with a lot of confidence. I mean, I wouldn't put a lock on this just yet, guys. Tony Schumacher has had a statistic advantage so far today. But for some reason, there's a really good vibe over there with that John Michelone team. And I wouldn't be surprised if they can get past in this round.
You rode on board with Tony Schumacher in a 478 at 312. Puts Schu into his second final of 2002. And remember, he won the other one. Let's take another look.
Well, we're going to see here on replay from down track. David Grubnick got in trouble early, got wind in that tire shake, spun the tires, did a good job of getting it to recover, but then the cylinders went out and had to shut off. Schumacher, on the other hand, was right down the track. Wasn't a fantastic run, but they wanted to get from A to B. That's what you got to do on race day. We talk about it all the time. Makes it through that transition very nicely, nice and smooth. Now let's see how he goes through these bumps. You can see there, nice little bounce there on the tire, but it looks like it's still stuck pretty good. Down the track, great run for the win. Now we're on board here. We're going to see David Grubnick gets a jump off the starting line, but then it's pretty much all over for him. Tony Schumacher goes right on by for the win.
And that's the 22nd final as we go through the bumps one more time in super slow-mo. 22nd final now for Tony Schumacher in his NHRA Powerade drag racing career. Now you're looking at Kenny Bernstein as he's going to be over in that left lane. They put a couple of nice runs together. Corey McClenathan over on the right side. Before we get more on this, let's go to the far end of the bill.
Tony, I spoke to your crew chief, Dan Olson, before the first round today, and he says if we can just survive the hottest part of the day, I think we'll be okay, and you've done that.
Yeah, we've done that, and we had no computer data from the run before because of the tire shake. I think it was my fault. I let the car cool down too much, pulling the pumps on. We had no data, so for them to come back and run a good number, for the whole U.S. Army, Gates Belts, Matco Tools, all the people here, Houston has been an awesome racetrack for us. We've been here 6 times so far. This is our 7th. Half the time we've been in the finals, and now over 50%.
Is your toe okay?
my toes feel great. It was brutal, but these things are monsters. You don't get them to expect to feel great every day.
Throttle kicked back on his foot in the last round. He was limping around up here.
Yeah, if you weren't with us, he said, I broke 2 toes, but I got it down here. Now, these guys have met in semifinal action a couple of times this year. In fact, several. Corey beat KB in the semis at Las Vegas. Kenny took out Corey at Gainesville and also back at Pomona.
You know, anytime these two guys come against each other, it's always a great matchup. They race each other very hard. Both drivers are very, very competitive. They really want to win. Kenny Bernstein and Tim Richards seem to have a handle on this car. With 263 in the 8th mile, definitely stepped on it.
Tim Richards has got his answer. 465 is low ET of eliminations, 318 miles an hour, and the Forever Red Tour just had another shining moment. Let's take another look.
You know, no matter what happens the rest of the weekend, you can say that Tim Richards has stumbled onto something. This car's never looked this good all year. 264 mile an hour in the 8th. You see a sachet through their middle a little bit there, but no tire spin. Cylinder goes out just before the end of the run. Let's watch it here in super slow-mo. This car where he's been having trouble is right through that point there. Nice smooth transition, very little tire shake. That's where they've been having problems. Out here in the middle of the course, runs that big 8th mile speed, 264 miles an hour before he starts going over those bumps. But that car looked pretty smooth. Real nice pass.
And Drew says, yes, yes. And Cheryl's nervous, and she also concurs. Going to the finals for the 108th time, and it'll be KB with the lane choice over the Army of One. 465 to a 478. Stay with us. We come back. We'll shake the earth a little more. Semifinals to the Floppers. When we come back to the O'Reilly Spring National. Back here at round 5 of the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. Glad you're with us. Semifinal action in Funny Car about to take place. And Tony Pedregon trying to go to his 34th career final. He's already got 1 win this year. He's won this event twice back in 97 and 98. For Tommy Johnson Jr., his semifinal opponent, he's looking to go to his 13th final.
Two very good drivers here. Both TJ and Tony Pedregon are two of the best, especially on the lights. TJ's been off a little bit. He had that little miscue in the round before when he put both lights on and Scotty rolled in, but I don't expect that to happen here.
Pedregon goes deep. And he's up in smoke. And Tommy Johnson is going to the finals, and look at Ron Capp saying, hey, yes, my teammate has done it, a 517 to a 542.
All right, look at Tony Pedregon goes in real deep. Actually put the top light out. That's worth about 500ths on your elapsed time, but he's going to lose it on your reaction time, but he's going to lose it on your elapsed time. It's a trade-off. 447. TJ had a cylinder out. You can see it right there. As soon as he hit the throttle, ran a 517. May have actually helped him get down the track because it's plenty greasy.
His second final appearance in a row, and here's what happened to Tony.
Let's watch Tony. Let's see if we can see right here. If we can see some. Didn't see much tire shake. It actually looked like it almost just drove up into the tire smoke. He pelleted, did a good job, put a couple cylinders out, but by then, TJ was long gone.
Let's go to the far end. Bill's with a happy Kenny Bernstein.
After that last run, Kenny, Mike Dunn made the comment that car has not looked as good this year as it does today.
No, it certainly hasn't by any means. We've been fighting the tire program quite a bit. Again, I'm not making excuses. We just have to find out how to run it. I think Tim's found out how to run it. It actually started, as you saw, yesterday afternoon, and that was a great run. It gives us a lot of confidence to figure out we can make this thing go down there. Now, I just hope we can keep it together one more time.
Remember last year, Kenny was in 6th place in the points before he really started coming around in Las Vegas, and we could be seeing another turnaround here this weekend.
Well, absolutely, especially after Larry Dixon goes out. Next up, Whit Bazemore and John Force. A meeting of two old friends. It'll be Bazemore over in the right lane, Force in the left lane. Now, Bazemore, throughout the week, has not been able to get down the track on the right side. This is going to be the first time today he's going to be over in that lane.
Yeah, crew chief Lee Beard really has not gotten a handle on it in the hot weather conditions. They ran that great 480 on Friday night in the cool conditions. John Force and Austin Coyle, on the other hand, have just been really, really dominant in the heat of the day. They didn't get a good run on that Friday night session, didn't get their normal qualifying position, but boy, you got to race in the heat on Sunday, and they're doing a great job. That car looks really, really good, especially like we talked about early in the run. Sometimes they spin a little bit down the track, but it's been good all day.
And this is a very big race, let's face it, for Whit Bazemore, who promised he was going to be part of this funny car points chase all season long. He started this year on a very, very bad note. Remember back in Phoenix, these two matched up in the very first round. Whit Bazemore outran him with a time slip, but it was John Force who got off the line, and that was some of the problems that Whit had going back to the beginning of 2001. So this is a very big race. Whit Bazemore has a lot to prove right here.
Well, especially if you remember Force beat him back in round 1 in Phoenix. Reaction time, 484 to a 483. The tires, and Force goes 506 at 300 to advance to his 156th final. Dave?
Bernie Federley telling his driver his number's 506, 300, good enough to go to the final round, and maybe that 100th finally.
Well, I hope it's not too elusive. We got our hands full here, but you know, it's obviously anyone's deal today. You know, we were going down there pretty good. We dropped the cylinder that time, and you know, hopefully we can pick it up a little in the final.
We've seen a lot of teams that have won today drop cylinders.
Yeah, it actually has helped them go down the track in some cases, you know, kill a little power. So hopefully we can use all 8 cylinders in the final.
Down to Bill Stevens.
Tommy Johnson, after the last one before that round, you said usually when our luck is bad, we lose. Boy, Tony got out on you, but you finished him off anyway.
All right, Tony was out there driving away from me. Thing had a hole out, and he never give up. I mean, that's what it's all about. The Skull team has had some struggles, but you can't give up, and that's what we've done, not give up, and it paid off. He had some problems. I drove around him, so I guess it's up to us to knock the other Force guy out of there, huh?
As somebody once said, there's no such thing as an ugly win.
And we've got to take a commercial break, and Pro Stock coming up next, and for the 5th straight race, we're going to have a first-time winner in 2002. Stay with us. Don't forget, SportsCenter coming up at 11 o'clock Eastern Time tonight on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com. And we move into Pro Stock. It's father against son. Warren Johnson in the right lane. Kurt Johnson in the left lane. WJ's 31 up, 13 down against his son in their career. Off the stripe. But at the finish line, it's going to be the youngster. 691 with the whole shot win. The quicker but losing 689. And Kurt Johnson is going to go to his 39th career final.
We're going to watch here. Kurt Johnson does the job. 489 light, nothing great, but Warren, he was dead late. 520. What's been worried about the kid? You know, anytime you can beat the old man, it's a good thing. You know, we're going to see it going through the middle here. Good side-by-side race. Kurt Johnson, even though he ran a little bit slower, had enough on the starting line to get the win.
And let's go to the far end to Bill Stevens.
Early on me, tricked me.
Well, one more step, champ.
Don't do it. I don't even want to hear it. It's kind of funny, that team over there with Prudhomme. First guy that I won, and my first ever win was in Montreal, and that was against Ed McCullough. So maybe I can get my 100th here, but you don't even want to think about it. You just want to go out there and McCullough get with his crew chief and Tommy Johnson run their best. But for all the years, Castro's been here with me, 16, and so was that man right over there in that truck, Austin Coyle. So what the hell, we ran here in the heat. We showed we could run, you know, halfway on that tire, and we're just excited to give the fans some racing, and doesn't matter from here. We'll see what happens.
He said it, we didn't.
I get a kick out. He says, don't mention it, don't mention it. And he's the one that says the 100th. Don't know if he jinxed himself, but we'll find out. Back to Pro Stock. You're looking at Mike Edwards right now. He's going to try and punch out Jim Yates. And Yates is living large, or so shall we say. I mean, he escaped a bullet in that last round.
Yeah, I mean, his car's run very well. A 686 in the first round, then a 685. But, you know, he's been awfully bad on the lights. I mean, let's face it, a 517 in the first round, a 507. He's going to have to step up. Mike Edwards, one of the best levers in the business. Jim Yates has got him on the horsepower advantage, but he's gonna have to stay with Mike on the starting line.
Edwards cut a 468 and a 470 in his 2 rounds. And he nails a 4th 4:36. Say goodnight, Jim. Mike Edwards, a 6:90, 199 to the 6:87, 2:01 of Jim Yates. And again, Yates, a 5:06 to Edwards, 4:36 light. So Edwards moves to his 20th career final. And let's go to Bill.
Man, it's the whole shot nationals. You've had two beauties over Dad that time. How about a 91 beating an 89?
God, I haven't left on anybody in so long. I guess I'm overdue. We just keep learning a little bit more information on this Jerry Bickle Chevrolet every run. And, you know, it's paying off right now. We've been in the bad lane. We've been in the good lane. And we keep running 90, 91s. There's a couple 300s left in it. And, you know, I got a great crew here, Kevin Horse and Joe Cottle, and we'll find it.
We mentioned this is the first time Kurt's ever had a Jerry Bickle car. Boy, this thing is working it.
Yeah, and he mentioned those reaction times. This is the 4th time this year that Yates has lost due to the reaction time. And there's a future racer looking at the Junior Dragster program. Stay with us. We're coming back. Back here at Houston, take a look at the Pro Stock Bike Ladder in the semifinals. You'll see that Gino Scali is going to go up against Steve Johnson. He has got the lane choice. That'll be our first matchup. Then it'll be Angel Savoy with the lane choice over Craig Treble. Now, Steve Johnson has been to 5 finals, but that man right there, Gino Scali, the last final that he has been in, well, was Houston, right here in the fall of 2000. The significance, it was the last race run by the late, great Dave Schultz. Schultz won that race, even though everyone knew he was dying of cancer at the time.
You know, Gino Scali, he's been very good on the lights the first 2 rounds. Let's see what happens here.
Almost dead even off the line. And Scali's going back to the finals in Houston, a 7:25 at 188. Let's go to Parker Johnstone.
Well, Marty, while walking through the pits with the fans, look what I came across. If you're interested in getting your family involved in racing, take a look at Junior Dragsters. Children between the ages of 8 and 17 compete at over 130 tracks across the country. The winners of those events take home savings bonds, and at the end of the year, the Eastern and Western Conference champion divvy up over $100,000 in scholarship funds. Now, these young drivers, well, I'm sure in 10 or more years, you'll see a future NHRA champion come out of this group. Let me give you some numbers. 5, the amount of maximum horsepower these Briggs & Stratton engines produce. Top speed, just over 60 miles an hour. Average cost of a car, about $3,000. Quality time spent with your family at the racetrack, priceless.
And Parker, you got to stop trying to squeeze into the cockpit, buddy. I mean, you're just a little too big. You're looking at Angel Savoy, the defending 2-time champion in this division. She's trying to avenge that loss, the first time ever that Craig Treble beat her back at Gainesville. It's over in the right lane. Treble has 4 100s in the bank off the line. And 2 in a row. Another hole shot. The 419 light was the key. He runs a 728 to Angel's 725. And Treble, the points leader, has taken out the champ once again. Bill?
Boy, we call this a whole shot nationals, Gino. You got Matt Hines earlier today. We just saw Angel Savoy losing a whole shot. Now you're going to another final round. The last time you were in a payoff round was right here at this track.
Exactly that. I was here, last time I was in the finals was against Dave Schultz, and it was the last race that Dave Schultz ever raced. You know, and I was honored to be the rider against Dave Schultz. You know, and that wasn't too hard to take to lose the finals. But this time we got to change it around. We got to get one for our sponsors, Pete Briggs. You know, Pete has the only Kawasaki that's out here, and he worked hard and hard and hard. And thanks, guys.
The only other irony, when Chino was in the final round in Houston last time, he was racing with Greg Cope, who was the crew chief for Dave Schultz through his many championship seasons.
We've got to take a commercial break. Thanks, Bill, and we'll be looking forward to that final round. Stay with us.
We're back at Houston Raceway Park in the 15th O'Reilly Spring Nationals, and John Force's Castrol Mustang getting between round maintenance as he gets ready for this final round matchup with Tommy Johnson Jr. And yes, we've all been here before in Phoenix, the second race of the year, when John went into the final round against Del Worsham, hoping for that magic 100th win. As John said in our interview at the top end of the racetrack after the semifinals, he's through talking about it. He just wants to get it. Will he? We'll find out when we come back for the final round of Funny Car and all the final round action here in Houston. the 13th O'Reilly Spring Nationals.
It's time to decide who's going to win here at Houston Raceway Park. Time for the finals. Pro Stock Bike. Look at them. They're buried like 3 and 4 deep on the rail, and you can't find a seat in the grandstands. Will it be Craig Treble, the points leader right now, going for 2 in a row in 2002? Or will it be Gino Scali on the Kawasaki? And you want to talk about a statistic on that far lane, Gino Scali, if he wins, it'll be the first time since 1992 that a Cowie has won. Dave Schultz did it for Vance and Hines Racing in Atlanta in 1992. We had to go deep in the archives to find that one. Let's get more on Craig Treble. Bill.
Marty, we've seen racers dodging bullets all day long in all the different classes, and Craig Treble dodged one in the last round. He had no high gear when he beat Angel Savoy on a hole shot.
Drought for Kawasaki's is going to continue. 7:24, and Craig Treble has taken a dominant stance early in the season. He's 2 for 2 in finals, and he now leads the points race by 55 over Angel Savoy.
Let's watch here on replay. We're going to see Craig Treble gets about 300ths off the line. That's what you got to do in the final. Then he's got to hit his shift points and keep that bike straight in that lane. Not an easy thing to do as you see that thing try to go over those bumps. That bike is all over the place. Craig did a great job to hang on to that and get the win.
And as we take one more look, Treble picks up his 3rd career win. Hanging on. Dave Reed.
Well, the Pro Stock's rolling the water box quickly down with Sandy Cosman, the man who built the machine we've told you so much about and is now 2 for 2. Sandy, how proud you must be about your accomplishments with this new machine.
Well, you're giving us too much credit. I just wanted to say that these guys are awesome. They're brave enough to try something unproven. And
hold on for this burnout. And finish your thought.
They're brave enough to try something that's unproven and competent enough to make it work. And I'm just so happy for these guys because they really deserve it.
Proud of you too.
And there's Craig Treble. We'll talk to him quick in just a moment. Now it's time for Pro Stock as they've already fired the motors. Will it be Kurt Johnson? He has not won since the Winter Nationals of 2001. Or will it be Mike Edwards, where he picked up his first win ever here at Houston in 1996? And take a look at this. We are guaranteed to tie some more NHRA history because we are guaranteed of our 5th different winner in the first 5 races. Take a look. 1974 and 1990, and again here in 2002.
You know, this Pro Stock category is just so competitive. Once again, it's going to depend on who gets off the line first. Both these cars ran very, very consistent during eliminations and very close to each other. Mike Edwards has been a little bit better on the lights. He's going to have to get a good light, I think, to get the jump on Kurt Johnson to probably get this win. But once again, it's probably going to be decided on the starting line.
Kurt Johnson, if he wins this race, could jump into 5th place in the points, jumping 4 spots in one weekend. Edwards is going to do it. Takes his 10th career victory, and Mike with a 689 denies Kurt Johnson a chance to tie both Jim Yates and Jake Coughlin for 5th on the all-time list. Let's go to the far end. Bill?
Craig Treble gets his 3rd Wally of his career, 2 races in a row, and this trick bike, it's quick.
It's an awesome piece, and I tell you, our Vance and Hines horsepower is working good. You know, we had to change a bullet last night, and we put the old Gainesville setup back in there, and guess what? It turned out the same way as Gainesville. What an awesome deal for Matco Tools, SMR, all you distributors. Monday morning, I'm giving you something to talk about, so let's get it on.
There are 14 bike races this year. He's won 2 of them and has taken a big step toward his first championship.
A new player in the fight in Pro Stock Bike. When we come back, we still got Top Fuel and Funny Car. Does John Force pick up number 100? Don't go away if you want to find out. It's time to shake the earth. find out who's going to be king of top fuel at Houston Raceway Park in 2001. Will it be the Budweiser king of Kenny Bernstein with Tim Richards tuning the engine, or will it be the Army of One? Tony Schumacher. These guys have met 20 times in their career. They've each won 10, but they've never met in a final round competition until now. While they're backing up, let's go to the far end, talk to our Pro Stock winner, Bill.
For the 10th time, Mike Edwards goes to the winner's circle, and you victimized Kurt Johnson on more than one occasion, but what a great day for you.
I tell you what, Roger and Ann, I just thankful to be a part of this great program you put together with Young Life. And to Chevrolet, to Mac Tools, to Cavalier, to Rare Morrison, I'll tell you what, Bill, it's been an awesome day.
Nice job, Mike. As you said, Marty, 5 races, 5 winners.
Turning our focus back to top fuel. Kenny Bernstein, if he wins this race, remember, he came into this event 147 points behind Larry Dixon. Dixon going out in the first round. Bernstein can close to within 65 if he wins this race, 85 if he is the runner-up. Schumacher's going to be in third no matter what in the points chase.
Well, and you know what, Marty? When you talk numbers, we got to talk numbers here with Kenny Bernstein. This car has been just unbelievably consistent all day. 466, 466, 465. Tony Schumacher, on the other hand, has a very good car, but hasn't been able to run those kind of numbers. But once again, this is drag racing. It's the final round. Anything can happen.
Bernstein, the win, number 62 in his career. And welcome back to the points championship chase, Dave Reed.
Indeed, and when earlier yesterday we saw that little sparkle in Tim Richards' eye, well, that turned into a big old glimmer, and now this team is staring a Wally in the face, and they're right back into this points chase. A great weekend.
Well, it was time we gave Kenny a car he could win with. This guy is a great driver. I've got a great crew in back of me here, and I thank them all. It's nice to win, you know, and this is still a very good job.
We talked tire. Are we getting a handle on that thing now?
Well, only if you can sit down and not move. You have to tie my hands back there.
KB's climbing out. And let's take another look at some of this action on board with Tony Schumacher.
Well, we're going to see Tony had a little bit of trouble there, went into some tire shake and smoke, and actually had to backpedal the car. As soon as he did that, Kenny Bernstein was long gone. We're going to watch here. This is a nice smooth run, just like before. I'm sure Tim Richards just left it alone. The car did slow down a little bit, didn't run that big 8th-mile speed like it had been. So right through this transition point here, it wasn't accelerating quite as hard as previous runs. But it was still a great run, and it was definitely good enough to get the win.
And there are the points after 5 of 23 events in the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. And you can see that Tony Schumacher is in third spot right behind KB. Let's go to the far end, Bill.
Kenny just received congratulations from runner-up Tony Schumacher. Earlier today, KB, we mentioned the big turnaround at Las Vegas last year. It looks like this race has really been the watershed for this season.
Well, we hope so. It's only one, but I just can't say enough about Tim Richards and the Bud King team that basically got it accomplished today and all weekend long. Our first win with Lucas Oil and Mac Tools, of course, for a long time. Special something for somebody. It's my mom. I've been wanting to say this for about a month. It's for her. And we got another guy out there, one of the best drivers that ever was around in the early days, Leroy Goldstein, the Ram Charger. He's a little sick with cancer. This one's for him, too.
Kenny's mom passed away this past February.
Guys are going to move his car real quick here.
Emotional moment.
Kenny can sit right there. Yeah, Leroy Goldstein, one of the great drivers, Ram Charger, one of the first money car drivers to run in the 6. Our best wishes go out to him.
Time now to set the scene for Funny Car, because that man right there is looking at win number 100. And here are the milestone events, and it's normally not taking him very long, but this is his 4th attempt to crack the century mark. He's going to be in the left lane. And Tommy Johnson Jr. said earlier, I don't want to be the guy who's in the record books as a trivia question. Number 86, the victim there was Jerry Tolliver.
You know, he's going to have his way. You know, he's got his work cut out to keep that from happening. You know, John Force has looked very, very good. First 2 rounds running those 490s. Fell off a little bit in the semis, dropped the cylinder, run that 5.0, showed you a little bit vulnerable, but Tommy Johnson's going to have to step up.
Well, win number 99 came back at Pomona. And then for TJ, well, he hasn't won since last year at Las Vegas. There's the win by length. These two guys have met in 2 previous finals. Force won both of them in 1999 at Dallas and Topeka.
Lane choice doesn't seem to make a difference, but John's been going in that left-hand lane all day. It's been working very well for him, especially early in the run. Let's see what happens.
For the 100th time, we can say it. Force wins. Force wins. John Force wins. 499, 310, Dave Reed.
This is a winner's circle, buddy, like no other. Austin Coyle getting congratulations from everybody here. After much ado, we have made it to 100.
You know, they didn't make that big a fuss out of it when I got to 100, but, you know, Forrest is the man, and we all did our jobs today, and I just keep thinking about Petty had 200. Now, how long would I have to live for that?
That's a good point, but go for
Bernie
it.
Federle, a little piece of history.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. My heart couldn't take too many more of those, though. You know, that was a real deal. It was a big deal for Forrest, and of course, and the whole team, a real morale builder. We were kind of due for a win, and this was, it's a good place to have it happen. Nice crowd here, nice race and surface, and just a real good time to have it happen.
And we were here, Bill.
John Forrest receiving the trophy from NHRA President Tom Compton down here. With congratulations from Tommy Johnson Jr. There it is, a special bronze-plated national event trophy. John, we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Be here with Tom. Hey, way to go!
Kenny Bernstein, of course.
We're doing okay, Kenny. Love you. Hey, bottom line here, Dallas Gardner was there with me at my first against Ed McCullough, and Ed McCullough's team's back out here, and now Tom Compton. So it's a great feeling to come here and to represent the sponsors. Castro GTX Oil has been in his car 16 years, 100 wins. Austin Coyle has been with his car 16 years, 100 wins. My daughter Adra has been with this car working with me. You got it. You got the farm, right?
John, we got to hold this up.
I just want them to take a look at this hot rod. Matt
the latest.
And Ford and all these people give me a great race car. So just shoot your cameras. Don't look at this old man. Just look at that car right there. That's bad. That's bad. I got so many hats.
John, tell us about before the final round when you were together with the team.
Even though you're up against bumper to bumper and auto value and all my boys, that's okay.
Was there any conversation before the final round with you and the guys?
No, Coyle said, you need to get in the car and quit throwing up, because I was really sick. And he goes, why? We've done this a million times. Coyle said they didn't make a big deal at Phoenix when I got my 102. He had hauling a lot of wins way before me. But no, it was just another race day, going there, take the car A to B, brought my little baby along with me. I look just the same. Kenny said I look the same then as I do now.
And John,
baby, actually, that's my driver.
And this places you in the pantheon with a lot of great drivers. A.J. Foyt, Mario Andretti, drivers like that. It must mean something to you to achieve this milestone.
It means something to do it. 100. Austin Coyle, Bernie Federle, great bunch of guys. Mario and Andretti, them guys, they won't even talk to me. Now they may have to. But Coyle wants to go after Petty's 200 wins. I told him, not me. Not me. I'm over it. Bottom line, the great state of Texas, biggest in the union, and 100 wins. So it couldn't be a better place right here. But scan this old car. Take a look at these sponsors pay all these bills.
Let the celebration begin.
Hey!
I'm surprised you got a word in edgewise, Bill. Take a look. You heard Austin Coyle mention the King. He sits atop of the heap at 200. But look at some of the names that John Force has joined. And it is tough, to say the least. Who would have thunk it? 100 career victories. John's still talking. I think he'll be talking for quite a while. Let's take another look at the run.
Yeah, this is a great win for John. Both guys went in a little bit deep. TJ must have a cylinder out real early. Had real slow numbers off the beginning. John Force, on the other hand, did like he did all day long. Just stuck her right in the middle of that groove. Kept her down track. We're going to watch here. Not hardly any movement at all. Right in the middle of the groove. Just a little bit of sachet towards the end. Got the win. Great run.
And there's Austin Coyle, has gone to the far end to meet up with his driver. And what a great pointer. I mean, think about this. You're in the team meeting. Coach, what do you want me to do? And Austin says, stop throwing up. That's going to go down in the annals of all time pep talks. Oh, well. John Force, who would have believed when he first began racing 60 years ago that he would ever win number 100? Remember, he calls himself 52-year-old truck driver, and he set himself on fire more times than he ever got to the finish line in those early days. But right now, he's got number 100 in his pocket.
I want to get it, but as soon as I do, I'll just set another goal and move on. Because to me, it's not just about, records. It's about racing.
John Force, the man in NHRA Powerade drag racing. Time for us to go to break. Stay with us. We'll wrap it up when we come back. And don't forget to join us in 2 weeks from Bristol, Tennessee at the Mac Tools Thunder Valley Nationals, qualifying Saturday at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, then NHRA today at 11 a.m. and the finals at 5:30 Eastern Time. And I don't know about you, but I love being a part of history.
Oh, and this is a big part of history. I mean, if you could have seen John Force in his early days and somebody would have walked up and said, this is going to be the greatest funny car driver in history, you could have got 1,000,000 to 1 odds. But through his perseverance and his love for the sport and his desire to wanted to keep out there winning races had got him to this point, and that's why it makes 100 wins just such a great victory.
That's going to do it for us. For Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Reef, and Parker Johnstone, I'm Marty Reed. Thanks so much for joining us here. RPM Tonight is coming up next. We'll see you next time we go drag racing NHRA style. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. See you in 2 weeks, everybody.